Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with a combo guide for the new ODION deck. This is the unofficial name for the new deck that is centered around Temple of the Kings plus the Apophis trap cards, which were all, of course, all used by ODION in the anime. So in order to combo with this deck, we'll not only need our starters, but also any card that we can set on the field. Typically, a spell or trap card will work best, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So for the time being, I'm going to show you how to combo if you open the Man with the Mark, plus any spell or trap card you can set. We're going to begin by normal summoning the Man with the Mark, and then activating the effect in order to add the new field spell, Treasures of the Kings, from our deck to our hand. Don't send it to the graveyard, add it to your hand. We're going to activate the effect of Treasures of the Kings on activation to set an Apophis trap card from our deck. Now, we play 3 different trap cards with Apophis in the name, so the one you want to set off the field spell is going to be called Apophis the Serpent. That's what we're going to set face down. And then, again, we can set any spell or trap card from our hand. Now that we have 2 or more set cards on the field, we can activate the effect of Treasures of the Kings, which will let us add from our deck to our hand the Merciless Scorpion of Circuit. Now we can use Merciless Scorpion of Circuit's effect, banishing Anubis the Last Judge from our deck in order to special summon. And now that Circuit is on the field, we can use the on-field effect in order to add Temple of the Kings from our deck to our hand, which we can then subsequently activate. At this point, we're going to want to summon our Silo Hat Rabbit using Man with the Mark and the Circuit as materials, and we can activate the on-summon effect of Silo Hat Rabbit. And this will let us set directly from our deck Statue of Anguish Pattern, which I'll talk about as more of the end board here in a minute. Alright, we'll activate the Apophis the Serpent that we set, which will let us summon to the field. And now we can set another Apophis trap card from our deck, which we will then be able to activate as well. So this time we're going to set Apophis the Swamp Deity. Now we can activate Apophis the Swamp Deity, which will summon to our field. And at this point you have a couple of different options of what you can make here. If we wanted, we could go into like an IP Masquerena, but what I'm going to do is go into the Divine Serpent Apophis. It's also worth noting that you could go into the Gallant Granite as well. Not at this point because we're locked, but earlier we could have gone into Gallant Granite and searched the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. That is another option you can do with this line. But here I like ending on making Divine Serpent Apophis here. That way we can, well, one, we'll get the trigger effect of Apophis the Serpent to add a copy of Embodiment of Apophis from deck to hand. And then we can activate the on-field effect of Divine Serpent Apophis, which will actually reset those 2 Apophis trap cards that we used to make it face down onto the field. And there you have it. This is what your ending setup looks like. Again, beginning with the Man with the Mark, plus any spell or trap card that we could set, which in our case was a copy of Infinite Impermanence. So here we have the Silo Hat Rabbit, which can pop spell or trap cards. Statue of Anguish Pattern, you're going to want to activate first, because then for every trap card that is summoned as a monster you use later, you will then get to destroy a card. Also, because we have the Divine Serpent Apophis on the field, we can also destroy a card with its effect once per turn when a trap card is activated. We also have Apophis the Swamp Deity that we searched earlier. This can negate cards on the opponent's field up to the number of other continuous trap cards you control. So you'll want to activate Apophis the Serpent first, because by the time you activate Apophis the Swamp Deity, you'll have both Apophis the Serpent and Statue of Anguish Pattern face up, which means that this will be able to negate 2 cards on the opponent's field. So we have multiple pops, multiple negates, and it all stemmed from this combo. Let me show you how to combo with some other cards here. Okay, our next starter for this deck is going to be called Anubis the Last Judge. By discarding this monster card, we can actually add exactly the Man with the Mark from our deck to our hand, which will let you go about pretty much the same combo line we already talked about. But I'm going to show you a different variation on it that I mentioned earlier. So we're going to normal summon the Man with the Mark, and then we can activate the Man with the Mark's effect in order to add Treasures of the Kings from deck to hand. Remember to make sure you're clicking Add it to hand and not sending it to the graveyard. So we're going to activate Treasures of the Kings, and we can set an Apophis trap card from our deck, which again is going to be Apophis the Serpent. We'll set another card from our hand, or their spell or trap card specifically, and then we can activate Treasures of the Kings, and we can add the Merciless Scorpion of Circuit from deck to hand. which we can then special summon by sending another copy of Anubis Last Judge from our deck to the Banished Zone. So we'll summon Circuit, activate Circuit's effect, and then we can activate Temple of the Kings after adding it to our hand. So I'm going to show you a variation, because last time we turned Merciless Scorpion of Circuit plus Man with the Mark into Scylla Hat Rabbit. This time, I'm going to activate Apophis the Serpent first, summoning, and then I can set another Apophis trap card, which is going to be Apophis the Swamp Deity. Now, this time, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Exceed summon Gallant Granite first, using Apophis the Serpent and the Man with the Mark. Now we're going to activate Gallant Granite's effect. I'm going to detach exactly Apophis the Serpent and add a rock monster from your deck to your hand, which is actually not going to be Nibiru. We're going to add Lord of the Heavenly Prison from our deck to our hand. So this is the other optional line that I was talking about earlier. If you don't want to end on Apophis the Swamp Deity, and you would rather add Lord of the Heavenly Prison from deck to hand, you can do it this way. Now this will activate the trigger effect of Apophis the Serpent, which will let us add the embodiment of Apophis from our deck to our hand. And then at this point, we can special summon our Scylla Hat Rabbit by linking away Gallant Granite plus Merciless Scorpion of Circuit. So now we can use Scylla Hat Rabbit's effect, and we can set Statue of Anguish pattern from our deck. And then we can also set the embodiment of Apophis that we added earlier. And now this is what this end board is going to look like. So instead of having the fusion monster Apophis, the divine serpent Apophis on our field, this time instead we have Lord of the Heavenly Prison in our hand. We still have Statue of Anguish pattern, we still have Apophis the Swamp Deity for negates, and instead of Apophis the Serpent, we just have regular embodiment of Apophis set face down. So those are the two kind of different ways that you can play that line out. Again, you can do either of these if you open either the Man with the Mark or Anubis Last Judge. I just wanted to show off both variations of that line. But that is still not the only starter. We also have Treasures of the Kings, the new field spell that we've been adding, can also act as a starter. We're going to begin by activating Treasures of the Kings, setting, as always, Apophis the Serpent from our deck with it. Can set another spell or trap card from our hand face down, and then now we can activate the effect of Temple of the Kings, or Treasures of the Kings, sorry. And we are going to want to add the Man with the Mark from our deck to our hand. Now we can normal summon the Man with the Mark, and then use this effect in order to add Temple of the Kings from our deck to our hand. Now we're going to activate Temple of the Kings, and then we can activate Apophis the Serpent. Summoning to our field, and then we can set Apophis the Swamp Deity from our deck face down. Alright, at this stage we are going to go into Link Spider, linking away Apophis the Serpent. This will trigger Apophis the Serpent's effect, and now we can add the embodiment of Apophis from our deck to our hand. But the reason that we need to go into Link Spider is because Scylla Hat Rabbit needs effect monsters as material in order to be able to summon. And the continuous trap card monsters are treated as normal monsters while they're on the field. So now we can go into Scylla Hat Rabbit using Man with the Mark plus Link Spider, and then we can activate our Scylla Hat Rabbit's effect. And we can set the Statue of Anguish pattern face down, along with our embodiment of Apophis. So there you go. It's a very similar setup to what we had before. You just don't also have Divine Serpent Apophis or Lord of Heavenly Prison, as well as Scylla Hat Rabbit. But as you can see, it still sets up not only our rabbit, but more importantly, the Anguish pattern that it set from the deck, alongside our Apophis trap cards, plus whatever we set from our hand face down. However, what you may not realize about Treasures of the Kings is that this card can actually combo not just with any spell or trap card you can set, but with any monster card that you can set as well. Because if you read Treasures of the Kings, it actually doesn't care whether your set cards on the field are monsters or spell or trap cards to fulfill the condition for its effect. So if you open Treasures of the Kings plus a monster card, we can begin by activating Treasures. We're going to set an Apophis trap card from our deck. As always, that'll be Apophis the Serpent. And then we're going to set a monster card from our hand face down on the field. This will fulfill the condition of Treasures of the Kings. And now we are going to add the Merciless Scorpion of Circuit from our deck to our hand. We can special summon the Merciless Scorpion, banishing Anubis Last Judge from our deck. And then we can activate the on-field effect of our Scorpion to add Temple of the Kings from our deck to our hand, which we can then activate. We're going to go ahead and activate Apophis the Serpent here, summoning to our field, and then we can set Apophis the Swamp Deity from our deck. Alright, now we're actually going to go ahead and activate Apophis the Swamp Deity first, and then we can go into our Divine Serpent Apophis using our 2 Apophis monsters. Now this will trigger the effect of Apophis the Serpent, letting us add Embodiment of Apophis. And we're going to want to use the on-field effect of Divine Serpent Apophis in order to set our 2 Apophis trap cards from the graveyard. And finally, we can special summon our Scylla Hat Rabbit using our Scorpion plus our Divine Serpent Apophis as materials. This will let us set the Statue of Anguish pattern, and then we can set Embodiment of Apophis from our hand. So, similar setup that we've had before, except we just have our random set monster on the field too, but we got the rabbit, we got the Statue of Anguish pattern, and we have our Apophis trap cards as well. So that is yet another way in which you can combo with Treasures of the Kings. Now, this has to work with the field spell, setting a monster, because of course our other lines required us to normal summon the Man with the Mark, but wanted to show this alternative line to make that clear as well. And I also wanted to show off my day 1 deck list for the new ODION deck. It's formatted, maybe it looks a little bit weirdly here, but we've got the starters up top, again, which is going to be Man with the Mark, Anubis Last Judge, and Treasures of the Kings, followed by some engine that we search, which is going to be the Scorpion of Circuit, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, which is searchable off of Gallic Granite, Temple of the Kings, and then our various Apophis trap cards. We also have Verdict of Anubis as an optional search in case you open with one of your cards that you would normally search. Here we also, of course, have the Statue of Anguish pattern as well. Following that is our off engine, including our hand traps. We got Super Polys for board breakers because we have a ton of room in our extra deck. And this deck, you actually want to play as many hand traps that are actual trap cards, again, because we want to be able to set cards in order to combo off. So that's why we're maxed out on the Imperm as well as 3 of each of the Dominator trap cards. Now, it is worth noting that you have to be careful if you actually plan on using the Dominus trap cards from your hand, because we have Scylla Hat Rabbit, which is light, Man with the Mark is Earth, our our Scorpion of Circuit is Earth, and then so is the Divine Serpent Apophis. So if you're going for Dominus Purge, that's fine, it won't really affect you that much, but don't activate Dominus Impulse from hand unless you're really okay with not being able to use pretty much the rest of your monster effects for the rest of the duel. It is also worth noting that if you purge, you will not be able to use Lord of the Heavenly Prisons effect because that one's dark. But yeah, like I said, this is the build here. Hopefully you find this list as well as the combos I showed you helpful for the new ODION deck. Like I said, I think this deck is going to be pretty powerful. I think it'll be at least tier 2, if I had to guess. And I also think it's really cool. It's like a control combo deck because we have dedicated combo lines that I showed you, but then when you play them out, it's not like we have an explosive OTK all the time. I think this deck is capable of that sometimes. But more than that, we're just looking to control our opponent down by destroying and negating their cards with our continuous trap card monsters. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you so very much for watching. Really do appreciate you. Let's go ahead and move on now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.